from what I explained yesterday, you create a component to be the nav bar. Then the footer too will also be what? Will also be a component. So if I zoom in a little, so the footer will also be a component, so that the shop component now or the home component now will just be like a sub. It just be like a section that you can, that if the user clicks, it will just enter in between the nav bar and the footer, and it will look like a full page. So that is why it is called a component, because it is part of a whole. So you split the website into parts or into components. Then where you call the component now is where you arrange them the way you want it to be. So I don't know if that has answered your question, because that is how it is efficient to build a React project that is maintainable, and to also avoid confusion, because if you do it in one page, you just have a long list of codes that will be even hard for you to maintain and for others to also maintain. So I don't know if my explanation has cleared that.
Quickly, just 2 seconds, I just want to react to just the difference between that index.css and app.css, because in one of the projects I was trying to find work. I'm doing index.css because getting, I don't know if it's because I'm not target or which one is advisable to use if the two are the same function.
Okay. I get your question. So if I go to my screen now, I'm going to see, you notice this index.css is used for the CSS that you want to apply to the index.html. So this is like where you apply a global CSS, like if you want to change like the entire font of the website, or maybe like the font family or so. That is where you add the CSS. That is if you want to add it using CSS import. But if you want to add a new font family using a CDN, then of course you are going to do that using what? Using the HTML, just like you can do in your vanilla HTML. Then the app.css is a component. So the app.js is a component. So if you want to use the app.css, you can only use it to make a style that only affects the app.css. But it seems that on the any style you add in the index.css applies to your entire project, or the one that you add in your app.css applies to the entire project. So any place you add your CSS, either in the index.css or the app.css, applies to your entire project. So, but just as I've just explained now, for the ones that have to do with changing a font family or something, just use the index.css. But for the one that you want to apply to your entire website, you cannot decide, do I want to use my index.css or the app.css, because it applies to your entire application. So I don't know if I've cleared if I've answered your question, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay, so let's take the hand of Mr. Witty before we move to the atom part.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, you're welcome.
Thank you. My question comes from the design. That's Figma design.
Okay,
So, please we can go over this one.
okay. So let me close this. So is it the home page or is it
Yes, the home page, the hero section.
okay, the hero section. Okay, let me scroll to the top. Okay, this is the contacts, so it should be back. No, it's not here. This one is
Even at the contacts, there's something I'm seeing there. Even at that contact, that thing that is under the contact, I think is a navigation.
oh yeah, let me check the contacts. Where is that contact? If I passed it.
Even on the shop, even on that shop page, it's just at the hero section.
Oh.
That's those icons that are under the label, the cards or shop or all those pages. Like that thing that is under that card.
Okay, okay.
That yes.
Okay. Now, this one can also be an easy navigation this thing, because it just tells the user that you've moved from home to this point. So is also good that you also make this link active, so that either the user clicks on this home to go back to the home page or clicks here, it should work the same thing.
So, but how can one achieve that?
Okay, that is where
I would have loved to know how.
okay,
Yes.
if you observe in my this React Router done video, I taught how to programmatically redirect to a page without using the link tag. So now the two ways you can do that is either you use the link tag here and start it to look like this, so that if the user clicks here, just put in your two attribute, just put slash, so it will link the user, it will take the user back to this page. Or you use
But can the user click on that card that is next to home?
yes, but if the user clicks here, even though you activate it, the person is still on card, so it will not make any difference.
On cards, yeah.
So the one that will make a difference now is this home.
Okay, that means the home will be the one to be linked
Yes.
back to the home page.
Yes. So
And then secondly,
okay. Continue.
Okay. Secondly, I would have loved to know how that pagination can be achieved too.
Okay.
The pagination that is down, I think, because we've not heard anything about pagination. You've not taught us pagination.
Okay. There pagination. There are two ways you can do it. You can use. I think there's a pagination feature in Bootstrap. I don't know about Tailwind, but there's a pagination in Bootstrap. But when I was doing a project, it was I didn't like it because it was not that straightforward. So I just have to just code my own, but it has to do with a little bit logic. So if I have time, I will lay my hands on that, but it's just a simple logic. But I would just recommend you to, if you can develop your own, but if you can, just use that of Bootstrap.
I don't even know how to use Bootstrap. I wanted to know how to develop it to be customized like this one that is under here.
Okay. So I think what I'll do is I will try to look for the project where I did that pagination, and if you can understand the code, then it's just very straightforward. It's very easy to to do, but it's not something that I can show you because it will take a lot of time. So, but if you remind me,
Can you do a video about it?
if I can do a video about it, okay, I can't promise because your future classes is my main priority, but if I have the time, I'll do it.
Okay, and then secondly, that should be fair. Using hidden class and display class. That's using when we used to use normal CSS and JavaScript to hide the navbar and then bring it up. How can it be achieved? I know it can be achieved with useState anyway, but I would like to know the process on how to hide and then make it to be displayed.
Like show like the navbar.
Yes, when it's on mobile.
Okay. Like are you saying that maybe if there's a page where I don't want the navbar to be shown now, then once I enter that page, it will disappear. Then if I go out of it, it will show back.
No, I mean when it is on desktop view, the navbar is always displayed.
Okay,
when
yes.
you go to mobile, the navbar is hidden.
Okay, yes.
And then a button will be used to trigger it.
Okay, that one we don't need to. Okay. I think that is part of the assignment I gave to you, right? That is this assignment 9. Okay, so
yes, it's part of the assignment.
okay, so if there's time, I'm going to show you how to do that using a small demo. But you use useState. All you need to do is just to remember what we did in our vanilla this JavaScript. You can have a CSS in your external style sheet, but you've not added where it will be applied. So you cannot use a useState and say for the mobile view or for something, add this class. Then if user clicks on the button, you now remove the class. So we can use useState to do that, and I will demo that in a short while.
Okay, I would be grateful because I don't know how to add classes using React.
Okay.
And then there was something you did with useState. Yes, recoil. When you thought about a recoil value and recoil state, when you did something, recoil value when you selector. I can remember selector.
Okay.
When you selected first name and last name to take their initials.
Yes.
So you were like that we can use if statements to check if the value is a string or something like that. But it did not finish that video, and then I tried to check it using the if statement. It didn't go through, and then I didn't know how to implement it.
Okay. So that one just to make it this look more solid. Okay. But if there is time, I'm going to do all that. So I think let me start with the first one, which is the atom. So thank you very, very much for your question. Okay, so I think let's start with the first one, which is the atom. How to use atom. Please, just a minute. Let me. Thank you. Okay. So thank you very much. I did class. Thank you. Okay, so like I explained earlier, the atom is used for global stating. So up till now we've not started our React, so let me start this React. So please pay attention, grab your pen and paper if you're not following me accordingly. Then of course the video is being recorded, but if you take notes, it is also a way to remember the ideas and the steps. So npm run dev, so I'll hit enter. So each time you close a React project, in order to use it again, you have to run that. You have to run this command. So if there's time, I'm going to show you how to use the atom, then the selector, then how to do what again, how to use the useState to toggle to bring out a drop down or a pop-up, whether it's in the mobile view or not. So I'm going to show you all of that, but we'll just have less than 45 minutes. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is this. We need to install recoil. Now there are so many things inside the recoil package. It's a third-party package still developed by Facebook to make global stating very possible. Now in order for you to do global stating with ease, you can either use the built-in one, which is the use context, but I found the recoil very easy to use than that. So we are going to install npm install recoil. So you must spell it correctly and hit enter. So after it's finished installing, then is similar to our this thing, use rather. We have to set it up. If not, we are going to have an error. So while it is installing, I want to answer one question based on the question that was asked. How do we programmatically redirect a user using the this thing, using React Router DOM? I think this is our presentation mode. So let's say we want to do something like this now, and we don't want to use the link tag here. So how do we programmatically do this? So I want to show you with just an example. Now if I go to my web browser here, you notice, or to my React, you notice if I'm in the shop page and I want to, from the shop page now, to go to the home page, which is here, without clicking here. So I'll show you the two methods, and you decide the one that is most easier for you. But there are some instances where the one that we use the programmatic method is very efficient. So I'm going to double tap here, clean that, and use a H2. Now we know that the H1 should appear only once in a web page, and since so if a component is not like the main component, then you should use a H2 or a H3. But if it's the main page, you can use the H1. So here I can use the H1 because there is no H1 in my other page, but I'm just trying to let you know. So if I have another component that I will call inside the shop component, then I will not use a H1 again, so I'll just use shop here. So I will now have, so now the first method, so let me, how to redirect user step, or let's call this one the method 1. So the method 1 is to use the link tag, so I'm going to do that. So I'll use the link now, link, not this, it has to be in capital letter, link. So I'm going to use the automatic import, so I'll wait for it to come, then I'll tap here so that I don't waste time. Then I'll tap to, you remember, and put slash what, home, because I want the person to go back to the home page. Then I'll close this and I'll put what, and I'll put home here. So if I save this now and I go to my browser, if I go to my shop here, I'm going to see home. Now if I click here, I'm going to go back to home. So you see, it worked. So if I go back to my shop, instead of me to go back to home using home here, I'll use what, home. So you see, it worked. Then let me show you another method. So I can still use a button, which is the method 2, shift alt arrow down, so which is the method 2, and this method 2 is very important when the user doesn't have to click something. So let's say we want this blog or this our shop page now to be only visited by those who have logged in. So once the user is not logged in, then we want to automatically what, redirect to maybe like the sign-in page or to other pages. So that is when we can use that. So but let me show you. So I can use the button here. So button, I'll click enter, I will say home 2. Then I'm going to use a package or an ability that we can get from the use route add-on. So I'll use let redirect, but I'll not spell it completely. Then I'll put use navigate. So I'm going to use the use navigate. So I'm going to use the use navigate. So we are going to allow it to use navigate. Okay, so it has come. So I'll hit again, enter. So it has automatically imported that for me. So I will invoke it because it's a function. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add an event listener inside here. So I'll say on click, I'll add my anonymous function so that the action actually occurs when the user clicks. So I'll now use the redirect like this, and I'll put slash the home just like we did here. So if I save this now, you see that the two things, both if I use the link tag and if I use this, if I use this use navigate, you see that it will have the same effect. So if I go back to my browser, I go to my shop, I'll have the home and home. I remember that the home that the link tag is still an anchor tag, and the button tag and the link tag, they display in line by nature, so that is why it's side by side. So if I click on this home here, you see it takes me to home. So if I go back and I click here too, it takes me. Then if you don't want to use home, you can also use -1, and that -1 is just like using the back button of your browser, but I like to use the actual route, because if the person did not come from the home, then it will direct the person back to the place where the person came from, and not the home tab. So if you see that if I click here too, it still does the same thing, but I like using the former, which is this one. So I believe this is what you do. Then just to show you an example of this, let's say I want to redirect a user now, which I cannot do with this my link tag. So let's say I want, if a user enters this shop, automatically take the person to the home page. So I'm going to do that now using my use effect. So I'll say use effect. So this is where, sorry, let me get that right. So this is where the second method prove more stronger than the link tag, because at this point now we want to redirect a user without the user doing anything. So the user does not have to click anything to start this action. We want to do it by ourselves. So if the user just enters this page, it should take the person to another page. Maybe perhaps this page is no longer in use, or we've created another route for this page. So I can now use redirect. So if there is another page, I can put that. But if I put /home here and save, so just watch what happens now. If I go back to my home page, each time I go to my shop, automatically it takes me back to the home page. You see that it's refusing to go to that place. You see, automatically, you see, it does that. So this is how we do this, but I'm going to remove this so that it will not be causing that. So this is the two methods. So if you are building this here, you can decide to use the programmatic method, or you can decide to use the link tag. They will cause no issue here. Okay, so by now our atom or our recoil should have finished installing. So it's now time for us to start using that. Oh, Mr. Ediana, I'm seeing your hand.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity.
Okay, welcome.
So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, so I was practicing with one of your videos, your router video.
Okay.
So I was practicing the routing, and I actually did it that this thing that you are saying, you don't have to go and be putting anytime you want to, you go and put link. So I did it with that map that you showed us, that it was able to map the link, that that anytime you just go and you insert that over at the navbar,
okay,
it will be able to link it straight. But the problem that I had was that when I did it, it was because my navbar at that time was plain, like my navbar was straightforward. I know I have issues, but when I now had my navbar that I had to make it, how do I put it? I had to flex 3 containers.
Okay.
If you understand, where the logo and the nav brand is in the other logo, the links are here, and then this login and sign up was, we're having 3 containers.
Yes.
Now you understand. I was having issues now when it was now time for me, because of those 3 containers. Because now I can no longer put everything inside that link, that map now that is mapping everything. So that's the problem that I had.
Okay.
I don't know if there's how you can go over how to deal with a situation like that.
Okay. So from what you are explaining, it is like you have a nav bar, and is it that you have you use one link, like you have a link, and inside the link you have 3 other links inside.
Exactly like what you're having here. Because in that
Okay.
video,
Okay.
when you were explaining it to us, in
Mm.
that video also, when you were explaining it to us, this way was straightforward.
Okay. I think if that's how I did it.
Like this, that you have to flex it and we have to flex it inside 3 different containers to be able to get this layout.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So when I did it using using Tailwind to do that thing, now having 3 of those, you're having 3 boxes. Now I could not now map it. I was mapping it. It was giving me terrible.
Okay. Now I understand what your this is saying. So if I go here, okay, like this session now that I have one group here, I have another group here, right?
Yes.
And I now have another group, right?
Yes.
Okay. For the one I taught you in the video using that map, I just assume that everything that there's no nesting. Now if you want to now still use that group to now do nesting, you have to do what? You have to have a nested array inside. And because I didn't want to just confuse you guys, so that's why I just did only the first one. But my suggestion now is to just keep it simple. You should have like 3 different arrays, or like 2 different arrays. One will show you all of this. Then after the end of this, it will show you, then you now enter another array that will now display this. So I think that is the most simplest way that you can do it.
I will not have 3 different arrays.
No, because this one there's no need for you to now add this as an array, right? So it's just so that you need to have this and this, or preferable you can just still have one, because this ones now I don't think there might be need for you to add another icon, but just for future this in maybe addition and removing, you just have 2 array. You say this you can call it navbar group 1 and navbar group 2. Then after the end of looping this, then you now start this loop, so that if you need to add something to this array or remove something from this array, you just come to this array and add it. As it's looping, it will loop through it and add it. Then if you need to also add to this one too, you just add it. I don't know if that is clear, because that's the most simplest way that you can do it.
Seriously, it's not clear. I think it's something that you can look into. You can just watch you doing it. Like.
Okay, so the thing that happened is I think this one is okay. Let me just do something similar to that. So I'll create something. I'll create a file called nav data here. So nav data.jsx, and remember this is not a component, so it doesn't have to start with what? A capital letter. And this is the convention I use in order not to get confused. So the thing that I'll do now, I will export 2 things here. Const, I'll say export, that's the wrong spelling, export const nav group 1. Then I'm going to make this equal to an array, Then this is going to be an object. Oh, why is it showing 1 1? So this is going to be an object. Then I'm going to have ID of 1. Then I'm going to have the text. So now the text here will be what? Home. Then what do I need to have? The path, or I can use path here. Then I can use slash. Okay, then that is for that. Then I will now do this, shift alt arrow down. Then this one will be ID2. Then I'll have my shop and my
so you've not added nav name.
Yes, I just remember that now. Yes, that's good. So shop, so I'll add the nav name. Okay, the nav name is the text. This text is the nav name. So let me make it capitalize sharp. Or unless I want to use this nav name. So now I have this one. So what I will now do now is I will now export another one from here too. So I'll call it 2. So now since this is on the same page, they need to have different IDs. Or yes, they need to have different IDs just to be safe. So this one will be 3, and this one will be what? 4. So just to make what we have there, this one will be what? 4. Then this one now we'll just call it icon 1. So let's say this one is going nowhere for now, but if it's going anywhere, we are going to put it. We are going to put the path here. This my new hard drive just changed things for my system. I think it's here. Okay, then here we are going to call it icon 2. Then for now it's going nowhere, but if we know the path, we can put it there. So now I have these two groups, so I can now apply it in my navbar. And just like I explained, using something like this make your markup actually much easier. So here I can have my logo like this, but inside here now, anything that is not a logo, I can remove. I can comment it just for it to show there. Then I can now import directly. So I will enter my JavaScript environment. Then I will have the nav group 1. But if I need to update this component on click, then I have to save it inside a useState. But for now, I'm not doing that. So I'll just save that. .map. Then I would just use each. Then I'm going to put this. Then what I need to do is to now add my link here. Now you see how easy this thing is linked. Then inside here, I'm going to now add the each.what text, which represent the nav name. Then inside here too, I'm now going to have the each.path. You see? So now if you look at this markup now, inside, okay, then the mistake I made was that this thing has to be inside an li tag. first of all. So now this, if I want to flex this now or make a grid of this, this is a first grouping and I have only one link inside. Then this is a second grouping, and as many links that I have based on my nav data for this group 1 will show there. So if it is 10, it will loop through all the 10 there and load it for me. So I can give this a class name if I want, just for CSS purposes. A class name of what? A class name, let me type because the thing is slow, of group 1. Okay, my inverter has switched off. At least before it will switch off, our time will be off. Okay, so the next thing I'll do now, so that I will not waste time to go back and forth, is to do the second one. It's still the same thing. So of course we missed something. Our key here, key, it has to be each dot id. If not, react to find out 2. Then I'll just change this to 2. So I will import that automatically. So if it's go to the top now, you see the import here. So now what is happening here now is, in this one we have this first link tag here, and we have the first parent here, or the first child of this UL, which is the li, and have the links tag as its children. So this one you just have one. Then inside the second link tag here, we now have a list of links. Inside the second li tag here, we now have a group of links. Then it will loop through everything that we put inside that array object. Then after the end of that loop, we now move to the second group here, which is the group 2. We just continue. So if I save this now, you notice that we are going to have what looks like this. So we are going to have the logo, and we are going to have the group 1 and the group 2. So if I go to my React, I should have this. So you see, and remember that the list tag is a block tag. So this is a group 1, and this is a group 2, and this is a group 3. Now if you inspect this, you're going to see that is actually so. So if you inspect this, if you go to the body and you go to the roots, you go to the app, you go to the nav, which is the first one, you go to the UL. Now you see that there are 3 groups there. We have the first li, there we have group 1 and I have group 2. So if we add a flex to this UL, it will split into 3. So I believe Mr. Idiana, this is clear, right?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay, so that is it. So let's move to the atom. So now the atom, now to do that, we need to start from the first step here, which is this. Now the atom prevents us from doing what we call prop drilling, and that means you start from the app and begin to send your prop up to the point where you need onto the point where you need the value, and that can be a waste of time. So let's do that. I will not teach you that one because it wastes time and is not efficient. So again, I'm going to add here, I'll enter here and I will say, why is it bringing out this? This is not the right comment. So recoil step, or let me just put the atom, because it's the atom that we are using, so we will not make mistake. Atom, because the recoil is just the packaging that is holding both the atom, the selector, and some other advanced distance. So let's say atom step 1. Or let me just use the recoil to recoil, because if we want to do our selector, we will not come back to do a similar thing here. So it's the recoil step 1. So now the recoil step 1 now is you wrap the recoil root over everything, including the browser router. So you wrap the recoil root. So I'll click this, then I have that automatic import, then shift alt arrow down, or no, alt arrow down to move this downwards, and that's it. So with this step 1 now, we have done that. So we save, then we'll create a folder just to keep things organized. We just call them atoms, so all our atoms will be inside there. So I will have that. So I'll create a folder inside my component called atoms. So this is actually the step 2, but I cannot write it step 2. So atoms. Then inside here I can create, so the question that led to this explanation was, if you want to add a cat and you want it to be showing on the navbar, right? So we'll create a file called cat. So this is the atom that deals with anything that has to do with cat. So cat.jsx. So I'll call this one atom, or still the recoil atom step 2. So I'll do export const cat number should be equal to atom. Then I'm going to automatically import from what? Recoil. Now if your system is not bringing out this automatic import, then you have to manually type this, and that is a little bit of stress. Then the first thing here is the key. So each atom, just like an array, need to have a unique key. So just to avoid confusion, the key should be the name of the variable that you're using to store the atom, just to keep things organized. Then the next thing is the default, which is the default value that you want to give to what? To the atom. And for this point, for a new user that want to use, that just created an account in our website, the person will not have anything in his cart unless you want to automatically give the person a gift. So it should be what? 0. So we have this now, so we save. So now if I want to add to cart from my home component, I will now use recoil state, because I want to update the cart. Then if I want to just only use the cart value, I'll use what? Use recoil value. So I hope you got the difference now. If you want to update an atom, you use what? You use recoil state. It's almost the same thing like the use state. But if you just want to use the value from an atom, just want to subscribe to it, use what? Use recoil value. So in our home component now, we are going to use the use recoil state, because we want to update the state of the atom from 0 to 1. But in our navbar now, we want to be displaying the number of items in cart. We use the useRecoil value. So let's do that. So I'm going to move to my home component. So the first step here is to do this. I will say let cart set cart. Now, just like I explained earlier, the useRecoil state is just like the useState. So this one is a variable to be used, and this one is a function that you can use to update the variable when you want. So I will now use useRecoil state. So my IntelliSense is slow, but I prefer to wait for it rather than to type that long stuff. So in less than some minutes, not minutes, some seconds, it will show. So let me remove this here and put back. useRecoil. I don't spell my recoil well. useRecoil state. So I have it here. Then now, one issue when you're using the useRecoil state, the value that must be inside this parenthesis must be an atom. So if it's not an atom, you have many errors that you might not even understand. So I'll use here cat what number. Remember, that is what we exported it as. So I'll just put it inside here, and once you do this, React will be glad with you, and you too, you'll be happy. So now this now looks like a normal useState, but I will not be using this value here. But because I want to set the value here, that is why I have to do this. Then next, I'll just put a button here. I will now put a button, add to cart. Then of course I have to use my onClick event listener. So onClick. So it seems today we are just having 2 attendants. Well, it's not bad. So I'll have set cart Then of course I will use the optimized version, so I'll use the previous value, then the previous plus what 1. So just to show this here, I'll just add number here, but we don't need to do this here, but just to show you that it's actually working. So I'll have a h4 here, then I'll put cart is equal to this cart. So if I do this now, if I press this button, it's going to update the cart. Then after this, we are going to add it to the navbar. So if I go to my home page, so you see that I have cart here, and it's what is 0. So if I click add to cart, you see it adds. Very nice. Add to cart, you see it adds. Now let's make this to be showing in our navbar, and just as I explained earlier, you use the useRecoil value because you want to subscribe. You don't want to update anything there. So let's go to our nav component. So let's go to our nav component, which is here. Then I'll just create a new list item here. Create a new li here. Now if I want to add it inside of this, okay, I don't need to create a new list item here. I can just create a span tag outside of this. So it's after this list, it will just show behind it. So I can use a span tag for that. Then I will now add cart. I'll put my square bracket, enter my JavaScript environment, then I'll put my cart. Yeah, but of course we've not declared this cart, so it will not just automatically enter here. We need to do the same thing. So the first step we should have done is select cart, say equal to. Now if you're using the use recoil value, you don't have to do the same step like we did in our useState here. That's put it inside an array bracket like this. Because you're using the use recoil state, that's why you have to do it like a useState. But if you're doing it like a use recoil value, you don't have to do that. Just declare like a normal variable. So let's cart be equal to use recoil value. So let's look for that value. And again, just like the use recoil state, what must be inside this bracket must be an atom. If you just put maybe 0 there, it will not make sense. It will not work. And it makes sense because you're actually subscribing to something. So it needs to be fetching that data from the atom, not a default value. So we'll now put cart what number here, because this is an atom. So if you do this, they have to be happy, and you too will be what? Be happy. Then after we do this step, that is when we can now what? Do what we did here. So cart. So it will be showing everything in our cart. Now if you want to use an icon here, you can do that. And so all you just need to do is to have an icon inside the div or a span tag, anything that you want to use. Then you can have this span tag inside that div. Then what you now do now is use CSS position, relative position, to move the number a little bit upward. Then you cannot color it. So that one is CSS work, but this one is just the functionality I'm showing you. So we've done that now. So I'm saying cart 6 here, right? So once I update here, you see it updates in the cart. So that is it for the atom. So Mr. Witty, I believe this has answered the question, right? I see with us, Mr. Witty.
It has answered.
Okay, so I don't think there will be time for me to show the selector. I don't think there will be time for me to show the selector, but what I want to show you guys now before we end this class is how to bring out the drop down on click, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think let me show that, but I believe if you watch that my video, you will see how you use the selector. Then of course the selector is used when you want to derive a value from an atom. So if
no, it was not really the selector, but
the if stuff. Okay.
Statement.
Okay.
That if that checking for the value that will be inputted.
Okay.
The arguments.
Okay, there's no problem. Maybe in our next class, or maybe on Monday or Tuesday, if by 7 o'clock, if you can have a video chat, I will show you that. Okay, so
please, I would like to join too.
yes. So now you know the time, because for some of you that will have questions, I think on evening after I come back from work, I usually used to go to those video chats. I mean those group chat. Then if it's an error that I know that I cannot solve by reading the code, then I'll ask the person to join the video chat. Then I'll help the person. So if you have a similar error like that, then you need to have Telegram installed on your PC, or you're using the web version, so that I can see your screen clearly. Then I'll just guide you on what you do. Okay, so that means we need to do a little bit of CSS here, and I don't like CSS, so I'll just use SAS. So let me install SaaS just right away. So npm install SaaS. So while it is loading, there's a way I like to do my responsiveness using SaaS. Now, why I like SaaS is this: it gives you it gives you that control. You can have control, but if you want to be faster, you know when you use Bootstrap and other stuff. But there's, especially for Bootstrap, there are some things that you want to do. The functionality will work, but the design that Figma will give you, you might spend hours trying to change it to look to the design. So that's why I've used it in a very, I've tried it once in a job and actually end up wasting up my time instead of using that. So I got discouraged. But now I'm trying to have a new perspective, so that for anything like Flex and Grid, or like my layout, I can use like Bootstrap or like Tailwind. Then for the main styling, I'll use SaaS. Especially if it's a project that the designer did not give you the responsive part at first. So it's good for you, because you know that there should be a responsive part of the website. But most designers, instead of them to be doing the mobile, the desktop and the tablet, everything at once, they'll focus on the desktop. And if you follow them like that, by the time they now finish the project, before you know, you just see screens upon screen of desktop and tablet, and that might take you almost the same time that you used to do the same job. So if you cannot, how you can be using Bootstrap or this thing, you can be doing responsiveness at first, so that even though the responsiveness that you chose wasn't exactly what they have in mind, it will not be very difficult for you to change, because it's almost the same thing that you have to do. Okay, so what I have to do now is to create a folder called SCSS. Remember, SCSS is just a later version of SaaS. Then I will need to style my nav a little. So I'll create my nav.scss. Then of course this is an external CSS, so we need to add it to our main nav. If not, it will not work. So I'm trying to avoid much code here, just to show you the functionality. So that means I have to, I don't think I'll be using partials here. So what I have to do now is to import my external CSS. So I'll have to do import dot and /, then we'll do what, nav.scss. Now you must add this nav.scss unless you have an error. Then to avoid CSS conflict when you're using a global distance, when you're using an external CSS like this, you use ID. You remember, the ID has more specificity than the class and the tag name. So I'll do this nav bar just like so. And I'll create this like this, so that in case you're using Bootstrap or other stuff, it might have a similar distance like this, so that it's not confused. And by the way, Bootstrap and other ones, they use class, not ID. So I'll save this. Then I should close this terminal. So let's just do a basic styling for this. So I'm going to have my ID here, nav bar. Then inside this my nav bar, I think I have an OL there, I mean a UL. So I'll enter my UL. let me give this a background color. Okay, shouldn't have a background color. So let me just add the styling here. So display flex, align items should be center, justify the content should be space between. Oh, your phone is about to off. Oh, I'm sorry about that, but we'll soon finish. So let's see how the design looks like now. So you see how it looks like. So it then shows that we now have this. So what we will now do now is we'll just leave the styling for now. So what we'll now do now is we are going to add a hamburger menu that will make this to disappear. So let's do that. So I'll go to my nav. So what I'll just do first of all is to give some spacing. This thing is beginning to be slow. So to give some spacing, so inside my UL I'll have the li, then I'll also have something like this. Shift Alt arrow down. I would have been using partials for this, but I don't want to waste time. Then I'll just put a gap of 1 REM. Now remember, I'm not following the Figma design because I don't want to waste much time. So you see that we have this gap now. Okay, so the next thing I want to do now is on the mobile view it should only be the logo and the hamburger menu that will show. Then on the desktop view this will show. So let's do that right away. Now we know that if you study our nav markup, yeah, you're going to see that we have a list tag of what of group 1, and we have a list tag of what of group 2. Now to make this more faster, you can also group this into a component, so that in the next step now that we will do now, we'll just call the component 1 2 instead of copying this and pasting as I will soon do. So let me come here. I'll do another list tag here, and I'll give this a class of menu. So I'll just use a Unicode to bring out the hamburger menu, which is this. Shift this or this. Then is 9776 this. So if I save this, you should be seeing a hamburger menu there. Good. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'll go back to my CSS and I'm going to type here dot menu should be display what? None. So it should not show at all on the mobile view. It should be display none by default. So if I do that, you see that the menu will not be showing. Good. So now the next thing I want to do now is to now enter the media attribute here. So with this I would like to use a partial just to be faster. So I'll use a partial here called responsive or just call it media. And remember, a partial in SAS is just like a code that you can, just like a CSS that you can export. It will not be converted to the main CSS when you hit your save. So .scss. So here I'm going to use the mixim here so that our code will not be much. So now that we are here, we can create some other things. So I'm going to, or let me change this from media to includes, just like I did in my videos. So here will be includes underscore includes. Yes, very nice. So here now I can have at mixim. So at mixim, so if you're using the mixim, oh, this is my keyboard. At mixim is just like a function in JavaScript. So it enables you to have a group of CSS that you can write and just be using them anytime you want. So what I'll do here now is I'll put this one to be flex underscore between. So let's do that, the first mixim. Please, if I'm done with the class, I'll come and collect it. So what I'm going to do here now is to come here and copy all of this. Ctrl C, so it will avoid that repetition. System is beginning to slow. So I believe before 7:30 will be done. So we have that. So why am I having errors? No, not at media, at mixim. Mixim. This one. Yes, good. So we have that now. So now the next one I want to do now is at, I think, let me copy this. Shift Alt arrow down twice, 1, 2. So I'm going to move this now. So this one is going to be my mobile. So this one is going to be my mobile, and I'm going to use min width mobile. Then I'll still need to face the same issue. So at the media and screen now, then I'll put what, and space, then I'll put min width. This one should be from 300 pixel. Then I'll use at content. So now this means that if I invoke this mixim, anything I write inside the parentheses will be placed as this content. So instead of this, I will have this, and you see the beauty of this by the time we start to applying it. It just makes us avoid repeating ourselves. So this one will be desktop. So if you want to have the tablet on, you can also have that. So this one will be from 900 pixel. So now we have these three maxims and we can use them in our nav now. So but before we use them, we have to import them. So let's do that. So you see how the CSS now, or the SAS, this code now will not be very, very small. So at import, oh my keyboard, at import, then I'll have the path to it. So dot and /. So you go to your SCSS, you go to your includes, Now you must add your semicolon here, unless SAS will frown at you. So now I can remove this repetition here, and I'll use at include flex between. So you see, it knows what I want to type. I do that. So I can also clean up this one too. Then shift alt arrow down to duplicate and bring it here. So you see how the code now looks small. So if I go to my browser, there will be no visible change. You see, everything looks fine. So now what I want to do now is this. In my UL, which holds all the LIs, what I want to do now is this. I will now put at. So let's do that. At include the mobile. Then I'll enter like this. So I want the group 1 and group 2 to not show. So I'll say dot group 1 dot group what 2. It will be what? Display none, and this is group selector. So if I do this now, I'm saying from 300 pixel upward, there should be no mobile, and there should be no what? I mean, there should be no group 1 and group 2. So all those lists is off. Then I also want my menu to show. So I'll come down here and say dot menu should be what? Display flex. So if I do this, that means you will see my hamburger menu and my what? And my logo. So let me just add a little bit of padding here. So let me just add padding of 1 ROEM all around, so that it will move out a little. So now you see we now have this. Then the next thing now for us to do now is on my desktop view, I want to reverse this. So what I will just do is to tap this. So remember that if you're using min width, it starts from the mobile and scales upward. If you're using max width, it starts from the maximum width and scale downward. So if you put your desktop before mobile, it will not be working. So I'll do that now. So I'll put here my desktop. Put my desktop, and this will be display what? Flex, and this will be what? Display what? None. So I've now reversed it. Why do I have an error there? I didn't have this. Okay. So I think we have that now. So we've reversed it now. So it now looks the way it should be. So you see that on desktop view we have everything showing, but if I moved into less than 900 pixel, you see it moves to the mobile view all the way. Then with this now it has this. So now the question now is, how do we show all this like this now? So we're almost done. So how do I show the home and the shop, or all this, if I want to on click? So let's do that. So we are going to go to the navbar, because that is where we are going to initiate the link. So I don't want to entertain any question, so that I will not go beyond I will not go beyond 7:30. So what I'm going to do here now is this. I'm going to create a div called pop-up. Then inside this pop-up, I'm just going to have all of this. So what I'm going to do is just to copy this, but just like I advised earlier, if you put this into a component, then you have to copy and paste like this. So I will do Ctrl C. I think it's group 1 and group 2. Yes, Ctrl C and paste here. Okay. Why am I having an error? Let me do Ctrl X back. Ctrl Z. Let me copy that again. Okay, I need to start from here to here. So Ctrl C. I'll bring that into here. So everything that you want to show, you can tap them manually, or because we are using an array, we'll just do that here, which saves our time. Now if I save this, you notice that we are going to be seeing this below, but it's not actually where I want how I want to be. So let's tie this a little bit then before we initiate the click. So let's do that. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to come to my nav here. So inside, I need to go out of my UL. Then I'll start that pop-up. So dot pop up. So we want to use a CSS position and position it exactly where I want it to be. So let's say the position should be what? Fixed. Then the width can be 100%. Then let's enter the li. We want it to be, let's do our at include. Then flex between. So what I'm doing now is the flex direction should not be roll again, but it should be column, so that it will stack on top each other. So it should be column. So let's see how this looks like. Okay, so you see how it looks like now. Then you can put that it should be 50%. Then we'll now use the position. We'll now say right should be what? 0 pixel. Then we can put top should be like 60 pixel. Then let's just add a border to this so that we will just know that this is this. So let's say border the border should be what? Should be 1 pixel solid purple. So if we do this, and let's just have a padding of 1 REM all around. So if I do this, I'll have something like this. Okay, so now what I want to do now is, on desktop view this should not be showing, but on our mobile view, if we click on this, it will show. Then if we click on any of this, it should do what? It should hide this. Then I think that's how you stop. Then if you use an event listener, so if you want this thing now to be clicked or to disappear after you click, if you click on any part of this, it should disappear. Then you have to add an event listener to the body tag, which I will not like to show you now because it will take a lot of time. So what I'm going to do now is this. Let's make it so that on the mobile view, on the desktop view, our pop-up does not show. So we need to do the same thing here. So let's come out to say at. It's my keyboard. Say at. At include. Then we'll have the mobile. Then we'll have the pop-up. So we'll say display. We'll say display none. We'll say display flex. Then for the desktop, okay, I think we don't need to do this using CSS. It's true. So it's now our state that we are going to use. So let's do that now. Okay, I think we still need to do this. Yes, we still need to do this. Shift Alt arrow down. So in our desktop, it should be what? It should be display none. So let's see if that has worked. So I didn't spell my desktop correctly, so there should be a K here. So desktop, you see, it is not displaying on my desktop, but if I go to my this, it's displaying. I think it should be display block, so that it will not change the styling. Okay, so now we have this now. So the next part of it now is this. So if I go to my desktop, the CSS will automatically remove it. Then if you come here, it will stay. So the next thing now is to now use the state to now determine when it will show and when it will not show on click. So that is the last part of this class, and we're almost going over time, more over time. So let's declare a state and let's call it toggle. So we'll declare a useState. So let toggle set toggle be equal to useState then it will just be an empty string.